Go.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Leadership Huddle. Today we're having a conversation, one for the archives, how to have difficult conversations without losing trust, relationships. I think this is one of the most important conversations for us to have, given that for the most part, people tend to avoid difficult conversations because we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to damage a relationship. We don't want to. We kind of just hope that if we don't have that conversation, things are just kind of going to settle somewhere that is going to be useful. So at some point in the future, but what more often happens is what we all are trying to avoid. What more often happens is that relationships get distant, business relationships get broken, the vision, the goals, they never get fulfilled, and people just kind of go their own way and their own way, and in the long term, even lawsuits, etc., etc., etc. So, Sorel, welcome. Thank you for being here. This is what today's conversation is about. I couldn't have it with anybody else. This is such a critical aspect in somebody's life, in a person's life. How to have difficult conversation without losing trust, without losing relationship, and keep moving the relationship forward, or keep moving the business forward, or keep moving whatever it is, the project forward.
Yeah,
Welcome,
Gio,
Sorel.
thank you, Gio. Thank you. And what I think is interesting about this conversation, Gio, is that I think people are going to discover through this conversation that what they call difficult may not be so difficult at all. And in fact, for the relationships I love, for the company I aim to grow, for the church I want to have, for the business I want to grow, for the promotions I want to have. Those conversations are actually the access, if not the only access, to the things I want. So
Yes.
I'm excited for this conversation.
Yes, and I think you're pointing to something very important for us to unfold a little bit. Because what we're going to do is we're going to give you 4 steps to have difficult conversations that you may be avoiding, or you have avoided for so long that you don't even have that relationship, but still lingering in your life. And so you're pointing to something that I get it conceptually, I get it intellectually. You said those conversations are not difficult. Conversation, in fact, they're access to um, elevating your self-expression, elevating your leadership. They're access to have the life you want, the business you want. They're like the main critic. What's missing to have the life you have, to have
Yeah,
the life you want, is to have that difficult conversation. And you're saying it's not difficult, but it seems really real, Sora.
I know.
It's not. It's not. It's like we can't dismiss it. You know people in your life.
Yeah.
I know people in your life, probably really close to you, that they're unwilling to have a conversation that gets the family closer, that gets the relationship closer, or that they get the business to be stronger. But people don't have that conversation. Why do you say, if you could speculate, given your years of experience, why would you say it occurs so difficult for people?
Uh, I'll go back way, way back to being a little boy. I had done something that I knew I needed to tell my parents I did, but I avoided telling them for weeks because I didn't want to get spanked. So, in a way, I say, even as an adult, sometimes business leaders have a relationship to those conversations that's that's akin to the relationship I had with the conversation I needed to have with my father. I'm afraid I'll get spanked. Like the equivalent of that for an adult, the equivalent of that for someone who's in business. I am afraid that the consequences of having the conversation will actually be worse than having the conversation itself.
What so something that sparks from me as you're speaking. There is, as the quote unquote adult, I don't know if I would know if I ever get to being an adult. I think I'm so immature I will miss it. And I mean that. I'm not trying to be humble here. Uh, um, the consequences, I think that as an adult, conceptually, I get how important it is that I talk to my mother, that I talk to my father, that I talk to my colleagues, my business partners, that I talk to my clients, that I talk. I get, I get, I get it that I like my children. I gotta talk to them. I get it conceptually that if I bring vulnerability, if I bring compassion, that if I bring these certain characteristics that I know I got within me, that I know that people have within them, they can see on the other side a stronger business, a stronger relationship, a stronger family. But they don't have them anyway. And I think that the consequences, Sorel, as you're pointing to, the consequences that you're pointing to, the being spanked, the consequences are more at the level of self. Like I lose something, like I'm no longer strong, or I'm no longer, I lose
Yeah,
respect,
yeah.
something like
Like
that. Yeah.
like who I want you to know me, the way I want you to know me, that's gonna get messed up. Like if I say this one thing to you, you're not gonna think of me the same way you used to. And losing that respect, losing that view of me from you is a huge consequence for human beings.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It seems that way. It seems like it's a huge deal that this person stops seeing me as a strong person,
Or as a
or that you
kind person, or as a
or that you're going to
generous
take
person.
advantage
Yeah.
of me, or I'm going to be seen as fooled. Or you think you fooled me? Or you think I'm weak? So I am going to keep you at bay. I'm going to keep you distant. And you, I mean, brother, sister, mother, business partner, colleague, client, I'm going to make sure you know the force I bring. Even though intellectually, or I get that if I allow myself to see things differently, the relationship is stronger. So I have found, Sorel, over the years, that people would rather be right than happy. That would people would rather be right, will be right about their view, their emotional point of view, intellectual point of view. They would rather be right and go through a divorce than see a different point of view. They go to a bankruptcy. People would rather be right. And as I'm saying this, Sorel, I really want people who are hearing to not hear this. Man, it makes no difference if you hear this conversation for society, for others. Like, oh yeah, you're talking about someone else. You're talking about the people in leadership in this country, not me. I think it would be foolish to not see this in your life.
Yeah, and I hear the invitation you're extending, Gio. It's an invitation
Mhm.
to however this conversation goes. If you're listening, don't fall into the trap of hearing what Giovanni and I are saying and evaluating it in some way. I think the invitation you're extending is an invitation to actually be with the question, be with the possibility of having a conversation you don't want to have, and speculate for yourself what doing so would make available to you. And with these 4 steps that Gio mentioned earlier, we're going to open up the possibility of anyone like you having a conversation with anyone in your life and come out of the other end surprised about what transpired in that conversation.
Yeah. So to make this relationship closer to you who's listening, think of a relationship that you have been that matters to you, right? That you know there is a conversation to have. And if having that conversation will get your commitments, what's important to you, the relationship or the project will get it to the next level. And so we're gonna, or if you're a business owner and you're about to fire somebody, right? This is the perfect conversation, right? Or if you are a parent and you're not speaking to your children, and that's dreading you, this is the perfect conversation. Or if you're a child, a person who is a parent and you're not speaking to your parents, this is the perfect conversation. Or your relationship in this moment is drowning. I mean, you're close to getting separated, divorced, etc., and you don't really want to. It's
Yeah,
like you do because you want to be right about it, but you don't really want to. This
yeah.
conversation is perfect for you.
And
So
Gio,
let's dive into it. Go ahead, Sorel.
Gio, I want to add who it's also for is that often I wait, people wait until something's wrong to actually have a conversation they don't want to have. And what I'm discovering, Gio, is that even at the beginning, at the onset of relationships, like I'm hiring someone, I'm about to get involved with someone. Those are difficult conversations too, quote unquote. So uh, at the onset, in the middle, or at the end of important relationships, this conversation matters and makes a difference.
Awesome. So I'm going to show an image, a stupid image, okay, that you have seen many times before, okay? And this is just to start the conversation going, just to get the conversation going. I'm going to show you a stupid image just to get the mental picture of the opportunity of the image, right? And then I'm going to stop showing the image. This is just to get the first step going. So we're going to share with you 4 steps to have a difficult conversation and have you gain your leadership, keep the trust, keep the relationship, right? What you see on the screen is the very famous 6 and a 9 conversation. Now, this is the first step. This was the first step to have a difficult conversation. The first step is to get for yourself. This is the first step. This is where you kind of you position yourself intellectually first. It's like it's like a conversation you have with yourself alone. Before you talk to the other person, you got to position yourself intellectually to admit to yourself, maybe not emotionally, but intellectually, that all you see is your point of view about that matter. And your point of view is like the 6, and the other person has a 9. You've got to allow yourself to do that rigorous reflection. Like, it's really rigorous. You can't just dismiss this. You've got to see yourself kind of calling yourself out a little bit and saying to yourself, all I got access to in this difficult conversation is my point of view. And it's like the 6, and the other person has a 9. And I don't have the truth. In fact, I never had the truth about anything. And I would never have the truth about anything. All I have access to is my point of view. And right now, it's a 6. You've got to get yourself that way so that if you have the opportunity to get yourself, position yourself intellectually in that place, then you could see how the other person is also trapped in their point of view. But you first have to see yourself trapped. Not the other person is trapped, but I'm not. Because the moment you say that, Keith is trapped. But I'm open-minded. I can see everything. When I go there, I'm still trapped. I got to go first to see I'm trapped in my point of view. Nothing wrong with that, but it is still a point of view. I'm trapped. The other person is also trapped in their point of view. I can get that. And then once we get there, then we can go to the second step. Go ahead, Sorrel. You want to add something?
No, these 4 steps are critical, Gio. I think we go straight through them.
Awesome. So now, after I get myself there, the second step is to create a safe space, an emotional safe space, so that the other person can tell you their point of view. And another way of saying that is that you create a safe space, like, hey, Sorrel, I got this view, right, about this area that you and I are talking about. But mostly, I want to hear your point of view around it. I want to see your 9. Could you tell me about your 9? Could you tell me how this makes you feel? Could you tell me how this makes you feel? Could you tell me you want to see the hairs of the 9? You want to create such a safe space where the other person will be willing to say as many different angles about their point of view. You want to get to this place where you want to see it the way they see it, and you even almost feel it the way they feel. So that you can get to that aha moment, like, if I saw it that way, I will feel exactly the same way. That's creating a safe space. That's the second step. You want to add something, Sorrel?
Yeah, about that second step, Gio, the thing that came to me, in addition to actually seeing their point of view and feeling the way they're feeling, there's the opportunity to actually honor their point of view. Because if I do the work in step 1 to actually say to myself, all I have is my view, my 6. And you know what? They have a 9, but they're relating to their 9 in the same way I'm relating to my 6. It's my truth. And now
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming into step 2 and I'm saying, share your truth with me. And I'm not asking you that just for the sake of asking you. I'm asking you because I really want to get it and honor it. So there's the
Yeah.
space to actually honor the 9 as the 9. No judgment, no nothing. I really want to get it.
Yes.
And
Yes. That's the
that's
second step.
really a gift.
Yeah, and it takes something to get to that place, and that's the second step. The second step is not share your point of view. No, the second step is to get their point of view, and also their point of experience, how they feel about it. Now here comes the third step, and most people miss this one. You don't want to miss it. Remember, this is the steps to have difficult conversations. The third step is to, I'm going to say it in 2 ways, is to recreate what the person said. Another way of saying that, a simple way of saying that, is to ask them this way: what I'm hearing you're saying is, and then repeat what they said or a version of what they said so that they can say to you, yes, that's exactly what I was trying to say. The closer you get to recreate their communication, the more of the experience they're going to have of being heard. Now, this is not interpreting what they said. This is saying what they said. So what I'm hearing you're saying, Stacy, is that the 9 that you're pointing to looks this way and looks this way and looks this way. So that Stacy can say, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's different from interpreting. Because interpreting will go like, so Stacy, what I'm hearing you're saying is that you think I'm an idiot. No, 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 that would be an interpretation that would scale up the conversation, that would get into an argument again. No, no interpretation. It's almost like repeating what the person said. It's like you're making sure that what they said is what you heard. And then this will be, if you could get to this place, Sorrel, if a person can get to this place, then it's all over. That conversation is no longer difficult, which is to recreate their emotion. So, Stacy, what I'm hearing you're saying is that when you see your 9 this way, it also made you feel this way. And if you can recreate somebody's emotion, then that person is fully heard. It's fully acknowledged. And I have seen miracles when I go through these steps in incredibly difficult conversations with millions of dollars on the line, divorces on the line, children on the line. You can't imagine all the places I have found myself navigating through these conversations. With these 4 steps I use to de-escalate, to get people to align, to create miracles. People in the middle of lawsuits saying, I don't want to sue you anymore. I'm complete. Thank you so much. I just wanted to be heard. And now it's countless of experiences like this ones that in my life that now I speak with a particular conviction about it. So
Yeah.
that's the 3rd step. You want to add something about the 3rd step, Sorrel?
I was going to say, Gio, as you're speaking, when couples, when business partners, when people who are in litigation get to that point, they all of a sudden realize that maybe there isn't the need for me to express my 6. And that's
Many
the 4th
times.
step you're going to reveal, right?
The 4th step is to, now that you have heard the world of the other person, the point of view and the emotional worldview, right? Their point of experience. Once you have recreated that person, then you go into step number 4, which is to share your point of view. And then is when you share it. Hey, Sorrel, so I got your world. Is it okay that now I share my point of view? What the context? Where am I seeing this 6 of mine? Do you mind? And 9 out of 10 times, the other person on the other side is going to say, "Yeah, sure, go ahead."
Yeah.
But now it's from a completely that person is going to be emotionally in a different place where they can hear where you're coming from. Now, depending on where the other person is, they need some navigation, some compassion, etc., depending on what's on the line. However, emotionally on the line. However, at that point, you will be able to say what you need to say. An alignment can happen. And I've seen it hundreds of times. And at this point, thousands of times, I would say.
Yeah. And Gio, I
Yeah. So those
noticed
are the
that
4 steps.
those
Go
are the
ahead,
4
Sorrel.
steps. And Stacy, I noticed you had your hand up. And
Yes, I saw
so
that.
let's bring Stacy in. Stacy, you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So let's say we're having those conversations. At what point, when let's say that you're dealing with someone that's extremely stubborn and they will never ever see the 6 or the 9, right? Your perspective. At what point do you end that conversation, and how do you end it? What would you recommend doing in that situation?
Gio, I'd like
Yeah,
to say
Stacy.
something about.
Stacy, Sorrel, let me say something because it's so critical. Stacy, what you're saying, most of the time people say that. Like, I'm going to say 9 out of 10 times, people say, you see, you don't understand. You see, you don't know Larry. You see, you don't know Joseph. You don't know Stacy. You don't know Jose. They are so stubborn. They're never going to see 6 and a 9 here. That concern, it's a really valid and just very common concern, really common concern. Now, what I want to say, Sorrel, forgive me for taking over, is I want you to consider this, Stacy. Sorrel and I are on constantly stages, and we're not motivational speakers. We train people in communication and leadership. So we navigate with thousands of people this conversation. Now, we don't say the steps. We just do the steps with thousands of people, all walks of life, all kind of triggers, anxieties, all of that. Our experience is, and I'm going to speak for myself, Stacy, my experience is that a stubborn person is only stubborn because they have given up. They have given up on they have no way of communicating how to be heard. How to be heard. So if you find Joseph, Lindsay, whoever it is, stubborn, it's more than likely that they don't have the experience of being heard. So this is why the 4 steps are so critical. Because first you position yourself, Stacy, in a position where this point of view that the other person is stubborn about, you only have one point of view about it. So it's like you say to yourself, I'm just as stubborn as that person. It's like you position yourself there emotionally. Yeah, I only have access to the 6. Likely the other person only has access to the 9. And then you go into this scavenger hunt, Stacy, of discovering Joseph's 9. And you have no judgment. You don't even have a judgment that he's stubborn. You just really want to get his worldview. And you keep saying, what else? And what else? And what else? And what else? And how did that make you feel? And how did that make you feel? And you keep going until Joseph is like fully heard. Now, I know this is difficult to believe, Stacy, and this is why I wanted Sorrel to let me speak first. We've done this with thousands of people, the most stubborn human beings in the world. And when they're fully heard, I'm going to say 19 out of 20 times, because it's not all the time, but 19 out of 20 times, they give me fully permission to give them a different point of view, to give them a 6, and they get it, and they have compassion for me, etc., etc., etc. I wanted to add that, Sorrel. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, this
Thank you.
is perfect, Gio. Stacy, stay right there. I want to stand on your shoulders, Giovanni, to say this. Stacy, you came into the room saying, well, what if so-and-so is so stubborn that they're never going to get it? Now, remember step 1. Step 1 is to actually discover for myself over and over that all I have is a point of view. Guess what stubborn is? My point of view. So before going into that conversation, it's essential to actually acknowledge that so-and-so is stubborn, is my point of view, and nothing else. And from that point forward, the agenda gets to shift, right? See, if I'm going into a conversation and so-and-so stubborn, my agenda may be to actually have so-and-so believe my 6. That's not the agenda of these 4 steps. These 4 steps only have one single agenda: to actually hear the other and see their 9 in such a way that what is the truth for them emotionally, viscerally, becomes mine in such a way that I can, in step 3, recreate it such that they get it. So it all begins with step 1. Seeing that they are stubborn is also my 6. Does
Okay.
that make sense, Stacy?
It does. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, do you actually have a stubborn, quote unquote, person in your life?
Well,
we
let's
all
see.
have stubborn person, quote unquote, in our life.
A lot of employee relations, and so sometimes you will have
Yeah.
someone that, and I always listen to their point of view. I want to know how it makes them feel. I want to hear that. But if you're in a tough, like that hard conversation that you have to have, let's say we're giving them a corrective action, sometimes it's all they see is like, I'm in trouble. And now they're pinning this on me. So that's what I mean. Like some people are like, nope, I disagree. Okay, tell me why you disagree. And I may go through that with them, and they may even admit to what they're doing, but the stubbornness is like, okay, they're never going to see it. They're seeing, if I look into their perspective, is I'm in trouble, now I'm getting written up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't break away. I always try to let them know that this is an opportunity for improvement, but they were never going to see it that way. Some people, yes, they are like that.
You know,
Yes.
Jill, Stacy just gave us maybe one of the topics we could cover in another conversation. A good friend of ours, Dr. Monica Ogando, would say, this is another sermon for another Sunday.
Yes, and what Stacey's pointing to is what a lot of people, a lot of us navigate when we're giving feedback or when something didn't go right. And there's so much to unpack, and it's a lot more complex to navigate rather than these 4 steps, right? And yeah, and I've seen just when work is at stake, salaries are at stake. There's a lot of different things that are there to include in the navigation of this conversation. And for the most part, when a person feels fully heard, they have like a new window to hear the other point of view. And I don't want to simplify it for you. So thank you, Stacey.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. And we'd love to support you. And hope if we can support you in navigating, training, and development, we'll be here for you. So thank you all. Thank you all for joining today. Sorrel, is there anything else you want to say to complete the
Yeah. I
conversation?
just want to say this space is yours as much as it is ours. And it is the space where Gio and I play the game of offering you unique perspective, unique leadership perspectives on everyday problems, like having difficult conversations that everyday business leaders and professionals deal with. So tune in every Monday from 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. and also subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Share it with your friends. And our good friend Maria Sangria would say, until further notice, celebrate everything.
Absolutely.